thank you all so much for coming today. I'm not going to give a bit long speech, but I have been reflecting on what is really important. I think we've all had a couple of years to give us a bit of perspective on that stuff, and for me it is really all about family and taking every opportunity not to accumulate things but to accumulate experiences, because when we were locked down it was the holidays that we had, it was the parties that we'd celebrated, it was the milestones that we acknowledged that really were the things that sustained us through all of that. So I'm 53 today. I
can't believe that.
I know.
We're all trying to work it out, George.
And I feel like I've really benefited from having a large family that we're so lucky to have all of you still here. Yeah, so when I was organising today, I was saying, look, it's going to be a really diverse group in age. You know, we've got some really young ones, and we've got some
More mature.
a lot of wisdom in the room is what I said.
You've got two older ones.
Less young.
A lot of
Young and less young.
Yeah, but to have you all here and to have Joan and Frank make the journey up from Mount Martha, not easy to do. To have James, who's come down from Sydney, which was a real treat. And we did our best to try and keep that a surprise for a few of you, but yeah, thank you, James. And old Joe, obviously, it's a real treat to have you guys with us. A mum up from Waterville.
Exactly.
It's just been a really special day for me, so I just want to say thank you. So I might just hand over to Mum, who's going to say a couple of words, and then hand over to James.
Well, it will be a couple of words because this is my speech.
Excellent.
And I had left my one that I'd laboured over for some hours at the back of the flat when I realised I was in the taxi coming here. So, never mind. This is just, first of all, I want to thank Georgie for her generosity in having us all here to celebrate her birthday. Not only her birthday, but the twins' birthdays as well.
Yeah.
They got a little bit lost along the way, and this is perfect. Would have been perfect, had Trish been able to be here. It's really sad that he hasn't been able to come, but that's life. Yes. Now, yes. What I do want to say about
Well, she's going to
George is her incredible generosity. For I believe during COVID, she promised Joan that she would be going down to Mount Martha to look after her when Frank, if either of them had come down with COVID. And then I talked to Dor, and she promised Dor she'd go over to look after Dor if she got COVID. And then she promised me in Warrnambool that she would come down and look after me. I don't know how she was going to manage it, but Georgie would manage it.
It was the first in first dress basis. So
Yeah.
Little Florence Nightingale.
Florence Nightingale.
That's our George.
Now, the other thing I want to say is I have had a fairy tale life, honestly. When Tasman was born, I thought we were made. This beautiful little baby that had come into our lives and given us so much love. And it was just like a little miracle that happened. And then Georgie happened.
And all the problems
But no, Georgie was the most perfect baby.
Rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, and she slept. And she slept. And then James came along.
Things got even better.
Well, here was the sun. Here was the one one who was going to carry on the Dwyer name, and you know, Jim was in his seventh heaven. He had a boy as well as two beautiful girls, and we were very happy as this little family. And then who should come along next? But Marcus. And gosh, you couldn't have wished for a better family. 2 boys, 2 girls was fabulous. And then we had Alex. And who could deny Alex? We had a hard journey along the way, but she was so well worth it. We just enjoyed Alex to the hilt. You know, he was this little baby amongst us all, and it was just beautiful. Then it was so beautiful. I think we were stunned, but delighted when the twins arrived. Claudia and Tristan. You know, we got value for money with them. The price of one. And they've never ceased to delight us. So, you know, we've had a really fairy tale existence, I think, and with healthy children, and here we are all today enjoying each other's company, and, you know, it's terrific. I'm just sorry Tristan isn't here. But, yeah, I think there was something else I thought I might say.
Well,
Oh, yes. Who would have thought their partners would have been born on the other side of the world? You know, here we are, you know, David coming from Mexico, and Patty from Peru, and you know, it's they're
from Tasmania.
very
Richmond.
they're both going overseas to take their first child, my grandchildren, over to see their other grandparents, and it really is a most remarkable story to me, and one I love, and yeah, I just am very happy with. I know what I wanted to say. This Jim, just a little bit before he died, you know, maybe a year or something like that. He wouldn't have expected to be, you know, to have gone so soon. But he said to me very quietly one day, when out of the blue, we were just in silence really, and then he said, "You know, Ellen, I think that having the twins was the best thing that could have happened to us." So there we are.
Well, I'd like to disagree with that. The floor is yours, Jen. Now, George asked if I'd say a few words to acknowledge the twins' 40th birthday earlier this month. So, to set the scene, 40 years ago, we were dealing with the Reagan administration and rolling out, in the US, rolling out trickle-down economics. And closer to home, we've got Malcolm Fraser in the lodge. The Brits are engaged in the Falklands War. And before the advent of woke culture and the incessant need to re-educate the ignorant masses or redefine the sexes and the genders and associated pronouns, we've got men dressing as women in the form of glam rock bands, such as Twisted Sister, Bon Jovi and Motley Crue. And the world continued to turn. We were starting to get around in increasingly bold and vulgar fluorescent neon colours with big hair and even bigger shoulder pads to match. So we were transitioning from magnetic tapes to compact discs. And as the decade of consumerism and materialism is just starting to ramp up in the era that was best perhaps described by Gordon Gekko, famous catchphrase, Greed is good. So now amidst all this, and to the dismay of the 5 existing Dwyer children, Mum and Dad have accident number 6, which turns out to be a double whammy. And we end up with Tristan and Claudia. Now everyone knows that no speech within the Dwyer family is really complete without reference to the divide that exists between the children born in the 80s and those born in the 70s. And while there has been a lot said on this matter, and how spoilt the Dwyers born in the 80s were in comparison with their poor, downtrodden, trailblazing peers in the 70s, the very real consequences of this divide are often overlooked. The consequences of the fact that the silver spoon was never actually taken out of their mouths. University fees? Daddy, what are university fees? Don't worry about those things, my darling Tristan and Claudia. Those are things I'd only make my ungrateful sods born in the 1970s pay. For you, my little darlings, I'll make sure it is nothing but roads paved in gold. And the consequences of this indulgence have manifest themselves in many, many ways. But a prime example of this indulgence and the consequent sense of entitlement is that Claudia was not prepared to even consider buying a first home until she could afford to slum it in her very own 4-bedroom mansion in the working class of Hawthorne. Canterbury, you think, oh, I've got wrong then. Well, that was the fact checking I needed to do. But don't let the truth get in the way of the story. So it was straight to the top, and in Monopoly terms, Claudia made sure she went straight past go, and she well and truly collected her $200 worth. And to all those struggling first home buyers out there concerned about the ever-increasing price of their smashed avocado breakfasts, Claudia's sound advice has always been, I can't understand what all the fuss is about. Just let them eat cake. Now, there were some good things about having siblings 10 years younger. You could trick them and manipulate them into running errands for you. Whether it be running up to your bedroom to get your socks or whatever. Go, Tris, see how fast you can be, I'll time you. And for a while at least, you seem to be the fun older brother, the smarter older brother. But all that changed very quickly by their 4th birthday. Tris seemed to know more than I did, and was funnier to boot. Things changed pretty rapidly, and after that, pretty soon, I found it was me running up the hallway for Tris's socks, while he pretended to time me. It's interesting that they're actually twins, as they really are very different. In their 20s and 30s, Claudia always seemed to be having fun, socialising with friends, out at parties, basically managing a very favourable work-life balance. Tris, on the other hand, was always a bit more prone to tipping the work balance in favour of work. For many family gatherings, Tris would feel he simply couldn't take the time off. The wheels were going to fall off if Tris wasn't at work and there clocking up his time. You'd call Tris excited about the family getting together for some occasion, and Tris would respond that he couldn't possibly take a break from work on Christmas Day because management might think he's slacking. However, as the time marches on, and often happens to people approaching their 40s, more recently there have been some concerning changes, perhaps indicative of a midlife crisis. Now, I don't wish to sound alarmist, as there hasn't been anything as dramatic as Tris going out and buying a red convertible sports car. Although, having said that, Claudia has bought herself a white BMW which she likes to park sideways in the 2-car garage in the city while getting her hair cut.
No time.
No, the more concerning changes are even more apparent than that. It's almost like they've switched personalities. From the actual day of their birthday this year, Claudia was slavishly working away for the man, or in her case, the woman, Elle Macpherson, trying to find human guinea pigs for products unsuitable to be tested on animals. While on the other hand, Tris was gallivanting around down at Flinders, living it up. Not in the least bit concerned that his bosses might think he was a slacker. That was when I first realised they both might need some midlife crisis therapy. Anyway, I've probably yammered on enough, so before I go, I better say something nice. So, despite the fact you were born 10 years later, and that by this stage Mum and Dad had adopted a much more laissez-faire approach to parenting, to our great surprise, you have both turned out wonderfully. That gets the applause?
Very soft.
Claudia, you always seem to have the work-life balance in check. You work hard, you enjoy life, and you're always happy to jump in and help everyone. And on a personal note, I'm really grateful for the influence and mentoring you've done with Izzy. She really values the guidance you've given her, and it has really helped to shape and influence her in such a positive way. And I really thank you for that. So, and yeah, and for Tris, although my really cool brother Marcus couldn't be here, he surfs and he skateboards. I think, well, to the camera perhaps, I think you and I have a particular bond. I really enjoy spending time with you, and although we don't always spend enough time together, the time we do have is always very special to me. I always look forward to our Friday afternoon chats when you're driving home from work, where we catch up with what's going on in the world, discuss the latest Sam Harris or Honestly podcast. I always feel I learned something and I have my perspective changed or expanded. And I really appreciate, I very much appreciate you. Tris, you are always such an interesting and funny conversationalist. So with those words, I'd like you all to raise your glasses and we can make a toast to celebrate the twins who make the perfect bookend to our very fortunate family. Here's cheers to Claudia and Tris. To the bookend.
Well done. Well done.
Speak after you, Joe. So I just wanted to say thank you all again for coming. I don't know whether Claudia wants to say anything.
No, thank you so much, Jane. So, loved the entertaining speech. None of what you said about me actually truly felt negative, so how it's all gone. And I'm glad we recorded it for Tristan. He'll love it. I love it. So, thank you. It takes a lot of effort to do that. So.
Absolutely. Terrific. All right, well, I think we're about
Time for cake.
So, did that go straight through the